This is Łukasz from CM Sale, and today we're gonna discuss about how to roast smaller batches on bigger roasters. Can you do it? It's a typical question, and our answer would be yes, you can do it, but you have to know how to apply the heat in a proper way. In this video, I'll tell you what to look for when roasting small batches on Stronghold S9X, a machine that is designed to roast up to 8 kilos of coffee. There are three main heat sources that you can play with in a Stronghold. First one is a convection, which is hot air running through the drum and delivering temperature to the coffee, from the outside of course. And you simply steer it with a hot air setting. The second one is a radiation. And radiation gives by an infrared light that's given by halogen lamps. And again, you can simply steer it from the main panel. The third one is a conduction. Conduction is nothing else than a touch of a surface or another bean. And in X-series models like S9X that we are using today, you can steer it with a ceramic drum heater that is around the drum. So each of those heat sources works in slightly different way, but they all create an energy and environment that the coffee will be roasted in. There's one extra thing that you should consider when you roast on S9X, and this is a blower. And blower, this is an extra fan that is mounted above the cyclone, and it's literally sucking air out of the system. You can also control the speed and amount of air that will be pulled out from the system. So how coffee roaster is communicating with you about the roasting process? Through the sensors. And they are usually placed in a position to give you a data from the biggest volume of the coffee that is moving around the drum. So when a roaster is designed to roast 8 kilos of coffee, it requires a certain volume of the coffee in a drum. If you decrease the volume, it means that the same sensor may give you different data. It's not going to be invalid data, it's just going to give you a different reading. This is where X-lens comes in handy, because there's an infrared sensor that is reading a temperature from the bean surface, and it's hanging above the drum in a Stronghold S9X. And this is the key factor that helps you to control your roast even with the smaller batches. If you track it, you're gonna know exactly what is happening with your coffee and at what stage of the roast you're at. So why would you want to roast such a small batch? Well, maybe you have a small coffee shop, or you are working with a very unique and small micro lot, and you simply don't have a space to any trials with a full batch. In fact, roasting less coffee helps you to work with even more precision. You have to understand the fact that the roaster will accumulate a lot of energy. This is a challenge. Controlling this excessive amount of energy will be a key to a successful roast. Being able to roast small batches on a bigger roaster gives you flexibility. It reduces waste and gives you more options to play with. And it's even easier with a Stronghold S9X. One of the things is the fact that because of closed environment, you can easier create a consistent and predictable environment that you're gonna soak your coffee in. That means that it's gonna be easier for you to control any potential changes that you do during roast. How to do it? I mean, there's no easy way to give you a ready recipe, because all roasters are placed in a different position. But the solution that worked for my purposes is that I don't play much with halogens, with bean agitation, and with the drum heater or with the blower. I like to keep it on a steady level, and therefore hot air temperature, the hot air that enters the drum, is flexible enough to cover most of the changes that I want to implement during the roast. As you can see, my initial setting would be hot air on 8, halogens on 7, agitation on 8, drum heater on 2.5, and blower on 5. And I'm going to use a standard 175 degree warm-up temperature for the roaster. I'm using 3 kilo batch. I press start, and let's move on with the roast. I'm paying very close attention to a hot air inlet temperature because this is the data that gives me a huge amount of information about the amount of thermal energy that I'm introducing to my coffee. Because all the other parameters are stable, this is the only factor I'm going to focus on. During progression of the roast, again, if I want to change something, I am always referring to ROR coming from the X lens. I'm marking crack in around 217 degrees, and this is data gave me by X lens sensor, and I'm aiming into 1 minute development at this moment. And when I'm done, I'm going to check the color of the coffee, I'm going to weight it to see the weight loss, and this will be a guideline for my future roasts. Both ROR from the white one from internal probe and the blue one from X-Lens, they look kind of different. This noise that you can see in the middle of the roast may be caused by the amount of coffee that was insufficiently mixed around the drum, especially since we didn't interfere with the amount of energy gathered in a drum. So this must be either coffee itself or something that is coming from the reading. And depending on the outcome, if I believe that I've had too much energy during the roast, I'm gonna start another roast with very similar setting, although the drum heater will be slightly lower. So maybe instead of 2.5, I would go with 2 points. If I believe that there is one setting that is missing to finalize my roast, and for example, I want to reduce more energy, but there's nothing between 4 and 4.5, I would play with the blower. And this is the only moment when I would interfere with the other setting than hot air. The coffee that I was using right now is actually a random blend from some leftovers that we found in our showroom, and we composed it in a 3 kilo batch. So without knowing what the coffee is, I was aiming into some anchors that I know from my experience, which is having a first crack in around 7 minutes on this roaster and giving it 1 minute development time with a certain amount of energy that still remains in a drum. That should give me expected outcome, and by expected outcome I mean the final color of the coffee and the weight loss. And as you can see, the color was 94.9, which is definitely in a spectrum that I would be happy with to start a tasting process about the coffee. And after this tasting process, I would determine if I want to do a longer development, shorter development, longer, shorter roast, on which stage I would like to implement more or less energy. In this type of setup of S9X, precision comes not from automation, but from awareness of 3 major things. Understanding how each heat source contributes to the thermal energy gathered in the roaster, reading data from tools like X-Lens technology, and designing roast with intention, not with imitation. So that was my approach to roasting small batches on Stronghold S9X. And I believe that this video will help you if you feel lost in this matter. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have any thoughts and you want to share them with us, feel free to leave us a comment.